You mentioned the tension around what we might call medicalization, or the tendency to want to view things exclusively through a medical frame, like where we're fixing something, like fixing someone's PTSD, or we're taking care of a a state of disease that's in someone. And you use the term sacrament as a way to reframe that, and
Hmm.
that fits for me. We have a long history as a human species on having sacrament. Like almost every shamanic tradition has sacrament. Many of the further traditions, even reading into the old yoga tradition, there are substances that are considered sacrament.
Yes.
It seems to me in modernity an extremely lost concept. Like I imagine there are even people listening to us that aren't quite sure what we even mean by sacrament.
Well, the most obvious sacrament is in the Holy Communion in the Christian tradition, and one is given, drinks wine and drinks and takes a wafer, and said, "This is the body of Christ." And looking back, I've been learning more about that. That this was a tradition even before Christianity, of um, a concept of taking in the substance of a divinity, of a god. And so there's a historical tradition, and there's questions, and there's also been the use of these substances in um, Greek, in ancient Greece, and so my wondering is whether or not indeed psychedelics might not have been the real Eucharist,
Mm-hmm.
and even if they weren't, would be the true Eucharist, where someone actually ingesting a wafer experiences one's divinity or one's connection with, not only connection, but opens up to unconditional love as exemplified by Jesus directly, and becomes a direct experience, and they really know firsthand some sense, maybe not the full sense, but some sense of what unconditional love is. Um, and I think it's a shame, put myself on a limb here, that we have the outer trappings of a sacrament, but have lost the real sacrament. We just have the sort of the outer performance. Um, so that's one sacrament that's very much in our culture.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the importance of the context and how these substances are used, that they're used within a certain container that helps facilitate what they're meant to do, whether it's to work with PTSD in the case of the more medical sense, or it's to help one get at some root truth about themselves.
Yeah,
And what occurs to me is, we have that certain kind of container in a medical context, but there's also some weaknesses that you alluded to with medicalizing things. And historically, it seems to me the way we've gotten around that is this idea of sacrament, that usually you have individuals that have gone on some kind of spiritual journey and have helped others in that journey who are facilitating giving the substance out, and they create a container, or the community creates a container in order to aid in the substance not merely being recreational, not simply amplifying some kind of negative pattern that's already present in them or those around them, but actually helps them uncover and get to something root about themselves. And as you're alluding to with the sacrament that is now a wheat cracker and grape juice, we seem to have lost that entire ethic, that entire way of doing things.
Well, a lot of this is going on. It's just not. It's going on what's called underground. It's not
Hmm.
legal.
Yeah.
So there are groups. There are groups offered, and probably many more people are experiencing psychedelics this way than through the research at this point. Groups offered where people come together to take these substances as sacraments or individual one-on-one explorations. It's not lost. It's just not legally accepted. Am I responding to what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, yes, yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. I think, I meant like kind of lost within the mainstream culture. And so, yeah, important point, which is
Yeah.
that there is an underground that is carrying this on, that hopefully is there to revitalize the mainstream at some point.
Mhm. Yeah. So I hear what you're saying. So it's lost, yes, as a culture, as a larger culture, it's lost. And
Hmm.
you know, I don't know what more to say about that, except that maybe, as you're saying, these what we're talking about, these situations will expand. And I think there are many more people nowadays who have had experiences, who are in positions of authority or politics or power or leaders. Maybe leaders is the best word in various realms, that will be more and more influential.